What's going on, F1 fans? Here, Jazz here at Hitting the Apex. Make sure you keep it locked here. We recap Imola and talk a little bit about Red Bull and their dominance this whole entire past weekend. Disappointing run with Ferrari. Mercedes again has a decent showing, but it was all about Papaya Power. Make sure you keep it locked here on Hitting the Apex now. What's going on? I'm not sure what's going on. We got Moni dancing. We got this guy over here drowning in his sorrows, like if it's the end of the world. For the love of God,
we got Nick dressed for success. Like this is.
I like you today.
I know this outfit is just Nick. Bravo.
That's what I'm talking about.
You can't beat the papaya.
And I'm supporting my brother and my papaya brother with a little papaya color shirt for you guys. All right,
I appreciate it.
There it is, baby. Represent.
Come a long way.
What's going on, ladies and fellas? How you guys doing?
Good, man. How's everything going with you guys?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. We hear you from a mile away, Nick. You might want to do something about that. Speaker. All right. That's all right. Thank you to everybody on the chat already. Fernie, Gus, Jack the man. Love to see Jack on there. Thanks for all the comments and everything. Make sure, again, you check us out on Twitter at F1_5 Reasons. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors there, Manny Chang. Real quick, it's You Brake Wheel Fix. Let's talk a little bit about them, our great sponsors. Excuse me. They repair damaged wheels from curb rash, cracks, or bends, all under one roof. With house powder coating, CNC machining, and polishing. They also offer new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands such as Vossen, Forgiato, Fuel Off-Road. They now even offer no credit check financing for up to $5,000 on a new set of wheels. They offer fast turnaround times on all repairs, and they even provide loaner wheels in many cases. You Brake Wheel Fix is your total automotive wheel solution located in North Miami, right off of Biscayne Boulevard in Northeast 146th Street. Check them out as some of their great. You can check out some of their great work. All throughout social media, on Instagram to Facebook at You Brake Wheel Fix. So it's at the letter U Brake Wheel, like a wheel, fix, or online. Or online at youbrakewheelfix.com. You can even give them a call at 305-748-0112 and schedule your appointment today. You Brake Wheel Fix, changing the way you see wheels. All right, so Imola. Yeah, before we get to that, Fernie, hold your horses. Jesus, man, we still got a whole week and a half. All right, so we'll talk a little Miami GP today, but we want to recap a little bit about Imola because, listen, it was just a crazy weekend all throughout, man. Weather was a big factor. Weather was terrible. Then the weather was okay. Then qualifying was crappy. Then the sprint race was this was all over the place, right? Then you've got DRS shut down for what? I don't know, 20, 30 laps. I don't even know how many laps it was.
It was so pointless.
Shut down. The track was dry. They didn't turn it back on. It was just so many different things. So aside from how all the teams did, right? I kind of want to get your takes on this. Manny, Vish, me and Vish kind of spoke about it a little bit. I want to get your take. I'm going to start off ladies first always. Moni, what are your thoughts on Imola and how, aside from the fact that, yes, Red Bull dominated, blah, 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 blah.
Listen, you're the one firing me up. I'm just over here sitting down enjoying my time with you guys, and I don't know, you're getting me these salty vibes.
Yeah.
Go with it. No, listen, listen. Before I tell you my
hold on. Let me go and grab my monster before you finish.
Listen, so before I tell you like my 5 highlights for the race, I I just want to say that I'm ecstatic for the Red Bull team, of course, but even more so for my papaya friend over here, my boy Vish. Let me just tell you, I think we have a lot to celebrate, my dear Vish. It was a good weekend for the both of us. So if you guys just let me, just very quickly, 10 seconds of your lives, I'm gonna play the iconic podium song for just 10 seconds of your life. Let's just take it off.
You've got the mute button, right, Manny?
That is 10 seconds I'll never get back in my life.
Yes, everyone clap along. Everyone, go, clap with me. Manny left.
Manny, thank God Manny left. Manny.
God, he is so salty today.
Bro, I don't know how it feels to fucking finish P1 yet. Leave me alone. Damn it, bro.
Yeah, it's been like 5 races.
Or even P2. Leave me alone.
So that's it. Thank you so much. I just needed that little intro.
Yeah. Manny, it has been a tough few years for Mercedes, right? Get the hell out of here, man.
Listen,
God forbid that happens. A little bit of a down year.
Damn papaya, listen.
World's smallest violin playing for you, man. Get out of here.
Yeah, nobody feels bad.
Yeah, everyone's very heartbroken for Mercedes.
Yeah, nobody feels bad for you. So.
No, but so let me go over this real quick so I can let you guys go. Thank you, Gus. Thank you for the support. Clap, clap, clap. That's right. Clap, clap, clap. It was a very good weekend for Red Bull and, of course, for McLaren. I'm gonna give you guys like my 5, not my favorite moments, because there were some moments here that were a little heartbreaking, I think, for most of Formula One fans. Starting off with Alonso, second DNF. You know, it's a tough time, but you know, Alonso.
Nobody cares about him anyway.
We're here nor there, but still, you know, I care. But definitely Sainz, that one hurt. That was so disappointing. I could not believe my eyes. Like when I saw that happen, I was like, what, again? So those were my little 2 heartbreaking moments on Sunday. Next, I want to point out there was like, it kept me a little bit like on the edge of my seat. Magnussen and Russell. At a point, you know, they were kind of like battling it out, and I was like, okay, this is fun, this is interesting, considering how well Russell has been doing. You know, everyone's talking about it, top 5 all races, so that was good. Then Leclerc, he got lucky after he spun out. I was like, no, there's no way Ferrari is going to finish like this. No. So I was scared. When I saw Leclerc spin out, I was like, no. I literally thought, Jazz. Then, again, Russell, top 5 this whole season, so props to him. You know, I don't want to start any type of beef over here. I really don't. But let me tell you, my guy Russell is showing off. Ooh. No hate towards anyone.
Oh, this is gonna be fun with Vish. This is gonna be fun.
At least somebody on the panel can see it, and nobody else here mentions it. Thanks.
Well, nobody else has had a chance. So
I'll be mentioning George in a bit.
Yeah.
We'll
get to George in a bit.
Finished third.
Yeah, we'll get to George in a bit.
Third. What are you talking about?
Trust me, we'll get to George in a bit. Continue, Money. Continue.
And then my last one, I just want to give special props to Tsunoda. You know, I think he had like a solid performance. He ended in 7th, no?
Yeah.
He ended in 7th, and I think he was really solid.
He was up there basically the whole race. So. He was basically up to the whole race. Yeah, he finished 7th.
Yeah, so I think it was an impressive performance from Tsunoda. So yeah, those are like my 5 highlights of the weekend. And of course, if you guys want me to add a 6th, Red Bull.
So Nick, anyways, I'm just
she could have gone Vettel or something, but she went Red Bull again. All right, Nick.
At least one of my predictions was right this past weekend with Vettel finishing in the top 10. So,
so
not the only
if you look at the standings, Vettel is not the worst old man driver. That is Alonso. He now has more points than Alonso.
Wow,
that's right.
That's it.
Despite missing half the races with COVID and barely showing up for the 3rd one. So.
Nick, what's your take on the race, man? Real quick, so we can talk a little bit about Papaya Power there.
Well, obviously, you know, McLaren finishing 3rd. Okay, so I've gotten the last 2 races right with my surprise 3rd with Russell last race and then Norris this race. So I'm on a little bit of a streak. I'm going to applaud myself for that. But other than that, probably another thing that really surprised me is finally Aston Martin getting out of the gutter and getting double points. Both drivers finishing in the top 10. I think that was nice to see, considering how terrible they've looked all year. So some nice surprises here and there. I mean, definitely Sainz getting. Well, Sainz and Ricciardo getting, pretty much crashing into each other on the first lap and pretty much knocking themselves both out of any of the race, really, was a real disappointment because they both ran such good cars all weekend. So I was looking forward to them duking it out. So it was unfortunate for them to kind of, have their race end early. But yeah, I mean, other than that, Red Bull dominated. I felt like they would bounce back after Australia. So, to see them bounce back with authority, it's pretty significant. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I think we're good.
I think it was wild. I think the whole entire weekend was wild, from the weather to the crashes and the DNFs and the disappointment, obviously, by Ferrari, by my team. It was definitely disappointing. Look, and it wasn't disappointing because, well, okay, for two reasons. I'm gonna ask both Vish and Manny this question also, a question that I have. But for me, it was disappointing because Sainz had the pace all weekend, right? Like he looked good, man. He looked good. And just look, there's nothing really that you can do about that there. At least I don't think, right? You guys might have a different opinion on, if he could have done something a little bit different there. They did mention that for some reason or another, both Ferraris had a bad start in the actual race, which obviously caused them caused Sainz to be in that position to begin with. So, but it was just overall just bad luck on his part, because I think that had he stayed on the grid and drove the whole entire race, I think he would have had a nice finish. But the issues with Leclerc was 50-50 Ferrari, 50-50 Leclerc. And he mentioned it. And you know what? At the end of the day, I was disappointed. I was pissed off because he spun out. But at the end of the day, like, he was pushing, right? He pushed. And sometimes that's what happens to drivers when they push a little too hard. And, and things happen, right? So at the end of the day, I'm not terribly disappointed in them. I think that they still had the pace throughout the whole entire weekend, and they still competed really well. And I think he had an opportunity to be on the podium, and because he pushed a little too hard, it is what it is. And I know that Ferrari is disappointed about that too. But honestly speaking, I think Lando drove the best race. He had the best race. He was driver of the day. I think he had an amazing run, and so I was really excited to see, because I like Papaya Power. I like McLaren. I think that it was fun to see him. I'm disappointed with Danny Ricciardo, because I love to see him compete. Obviously, it didn't happen this year. This race. So it was tough to see that, but for me, I think the storyline right now, all right, I think the storyline is this Mercedes. Like, what's going on with Mercedes? Is Russell the better driver? What's going on with Lewis? Hold on, I'm trying to start something here. Give me a second. I'm trying to start some beef here. All right, I'm trying to start some beef here. Like, what's going on with Mercedes? Lewis Hamilton is not having it. He got lapped by the Red Bull. What's going on there? Vish, Russell seems to be the better driver, right? Like, I mean, finished in the top 5 again. What a hell of a driver, huh?
So there's a lot of stuff you went over there. First of all, I don't. Let's start with just at the front. Like, I think we're not giving enough credit to Max and how well he drove. We take for granted when someone jumps out in front and just controls the race and maintains that gap, that's easy to do.
Facts.
Those conditions were tough to drive in, and Leclerc made a mistake. Perez made a mistake. He didn't have to pay for it, but he went off. Most of the drivers had like an off or a mistake here or there. Max was perfect there. So there's that. Ricciardo, I mean, I don't think Sainz could have done anything different. Ricciardo wiped him out. Like, it is what it is. We'll have to own that on the Papaya side. He experienced a different kind of Papaya Power. But actually, I don't. So let's get to Mercedes here, because I got some thoughts. So one, I don't think Russell is faster than Hamilton. I think he's been getting the breaks in every single race. He did again here in that we talked about Ricciardo wiping out Sainz. He also took Bottas because Bottas had to slam on the brakes to avoid that collision. That was this great start Russell had. That was 3 of the spots he made up. It was right there. He didn't do anything there. I mean, great. He avoided the collision and kept it going. By the end of the race, he was getting run down by Bottas. If that straight was like another few, like 10, 15 feet, he would have gotten overtaken by an Alpha. So, I mean, it's fine to focus on the positions of finishes, but if you actually look deeper into this race, Hamilton got stuck in a DRS train because Ocon unsafe released into him and got a 5-second penalty, but still ruined Hamilton's race. He ended up, if you look at where Ocon ended up, if Hamilton comes out of the pits in that spot, he's going to lap all those cars in front of him and end up in the top 10 easily. And maybe up there with Leclerc after Leclerc binned it. So, but he didn't. Ocon gets the penalty. He doesn't do anything for Hamilton. And so you end up in a situation where the results don't merit the drive. And I'll say this flatly. I don't think Russell's that good. And I'm watching this guy drive, and I'm looking at the other young drivers. He's not as good as Max. He's not as good as Leclerc. He's not as good as Norris. Is this the guy that's going to, once Mercedes gets a package under him, actually win championships? Nope. He's not going to do it. Come back in a few years and see if he's winning world titles. Like, everyone knew. They were saying Max, future world champion, way before he won it. Because you could tell. I don't see that in Russell. He's too inconsistent. He got a reputation at Williams for qualifying well and then going backwards at the start of the race. He's cut a couple of breaks now, and everyone's like, wow, look at this. That car sucks, granted, so there's a limit to what he can do in there. But it's better than a McLaren. He couldn't get near Norris. What's he doing there? You're telling me if Hamilton was sitting there behind Norris, he wouldn't have closed that gap down and pressured him?
But do you
instead,
why?
Instead, Russell was getting caught by Bottas. Like, this is what we're talking about. I think we're exaggerating the performance. And Hamilton's not been good either, and some of his troubles are his own doing. This time, I mean, we haven't even gotten to what Mercedes did in qualifying. Like, when they didn't send the cars out and just ruined their whole qualifying. That happened to both the drivers. But one of the things we saw in the sprint race is you needed a huge pace advantage to overtake here. The straight wasn't long enough. And we saw that in the race, too. So once you got stuck, there was no working your way through the field.
Well, here's a real reason. Here's a real reason why Hamilton couldn't do anything, right, Manny?
It's fucking Gasly.
Yeah, Red Bull, baby.
Yeah, there was. That's my conspiracy theory. You guys can't steal it. You guys can't steal it.
Gasly opens up his freaking DRS and.
But why don't you show what Hamilton saw?
Man, you're making me post this.
Yeah. This is what Hamilton saw.
What are we about to see? Do I even want to know?
This is what Hamilton saw, and that's the truth. And that's what happens when you get stuck behind an AlphaTauri. Yeah. It's all right, man.
So what I'll say about that is, you can't tell me that Gasly could not have overtaken Albon in a Williams with DRS. He sat behind that Williams for 30 laps with the DRS advantage. Come on. He was holding up Hamilton on purpose. He was doing it. He was being a Red Bull team player.
Yeah.
Like, because I understand Ian with DRS was tough to overtake there. Like, you saw that, right? It was that straight needed more length to actually be a good overtaking opportunity. But the Williams sucks. Like, there's no way. And you saw Tsunoda actually overtaking people up the field in the same car, and this guy can't get around to Williams. That was 100% intentional. He was like, because if he passed Albon, Hamilton would pass Albon, and then the next few laps, like, Gasly wouldn't have DRS and Hamilton would on him, and he knows he was going to get passed.
Well, and he had an opportunity to pass Albon, 100%.
Yeah, no, Jack's right. I was complaining about too many DRS zones. There's only one here, but even the one that was there wasn't effective, and they hardly used it. Then we turned it on at the end of the race. But I don't think that track really had another good overtaking opportunity where they could have really used one. My issue primarily, and Jack's absolutely right, was these back-to-back DRS zones where you have one right after the other, and it's almost like you want to be behind at the end of the first one, so you're ahead at the end of the second one.
Right.
Like, that's not good for racing. But in this case, I mean, this is a whole other issue on some of these older tracks and whether or not they're suited for modern cars. The cars didn't used to be this wide. that joke picture Manny put up. Like, that's not that far from the truth in terms of how wide the cars are related to the track, right? I mean that. So I mean, there is issues. We see it at Monaco too. You used to be able to overtake in Monaco. Now the cars are too wide. You can't get around them. So some of these older tracks just don't fit the modern cars, and this was definitely one of them. So without DRS for most of the race, there wasn't any overtaking. Even with it, there wasn't much.
So I mean, and this I kind of want to talk about the DRS again and how much it really did affect this race, because you noticed early on, all right, there was a little bit of a log jam in the midfield again, right, where some cars had, it was, quite frankly, it was a little bit of a boring race until they opened up DRS. When they shut it down, I mean, you had some drivers that had the opportunity to overtake, and they just weren't able to because they didn't get DRS. Did that affect the way that, I guess, look, did luck play a big role in Lando finishing on the podium this time? I know obviously there was some issues, but how good was he? How good was his pace? Did he still have an opportunity? Let's say DRS was enabled, and he's fourth or fifth. Could he still have had an opportunity to overtake some of these guys if DRS would have been enabled at that time? Was he that good? Was Papaya that good?
I think he probably would have, stayed in the middle of the pack, like in the fifth, sixth area, probably for most of the race, if some of the luck didn't bounce his way. But like I said, for McLaren to finish on the podium this year, it's going to take them to have a little race luck, and that's what happened at Imola. Was first lap, big crash, knocked out pretty much Ricciardo, and then knocked out Sainz, and left the door open for him. And good for him. He took advantage of the opportunity and got himself a podium for it.
Moni, I want to bring this to you because it's something different. Look, this is the first time that Red Bull goes 1-2 in quite some time, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the actual date, but it's been a very long time since Red Bull goes 1-2. However, there was an opportunity. Leclerc right behind Sergio for a lot of the time, right? He was able to get it within a second to open up DRS. However, he just, for some reason, just could. I don't know if it was that he didn't have the pace, he didn't have the tires, and we've seen this again already a couple of times where Leclerc and his tire management hasn't been the greatest. Talk to me a little bit of how was Red Bull able to kind of hold off Leclerc? Well, primarily Sergio, right? Because at that point, I don't think Leclerc was going to catch Max out of the way. He was just that fast this past weekend. But as far as the battle between Perez and Leclerc, obviously at the end of the day, this is what happened, right? Leclerc got a little aggressive and he ended up spinning out, and that was it for him. So how was he able to hold him off there?
To be quite honest with you, I did feel a little scared having Leclerc just sit on third, like right behind Checo. I was like, I have a feeling this can go wrong at any given moment. But now that we're speaking about the track, it's an older track, so I definitely have to agree with Vish. I feel like that's a huge factor when you have newer, wider cars. So I think that's one of the factors that affected a little bit the fact that maybe Leclerc couldn't overtake Checo as often as he would have wanted to. However, I also feel that Red Bull was feeling really confident, and they were. I mean, Max was just way too far ahead, and I think that also influenced Checo's performance. I feel that Checo, the past couple of races where Max has had a difficulty, where something has happened to his car, Checo's always like, what happened to Max's car? Like, what's going on with Max? And they're like, no, don't worry, nothing to do with our car. So I feel that there was another factor, that they were very consistent, very solid. There was a lot of confidence going on in the Red Bull team. And I think that in one way or another, that helped Checo a little bit. He kind of fed off, that confidence that Max, he was way ahead and everything. And then just unfortunately, Leclerc's spin, you can just tell when something like that goes down, just how hard they're trying to push, how hard he was trying to get ahead of Checo. And sadly, those things, that just didn't happen. Also, again, the conditions, it was like it was a rough race in terms of course, weather conditions. So I feel that there was a little bit of everything in this race that kind of set it up for those who were taking the lead to stay in the lead. Not only, for example, Max and Checo, who were in 1 and 2, but also the rest. Like, in my opinion, the fact that DRS wasn't enabled and anything, I just feel like there wasn't enough action. There wasn't enough speed, and it was just like a generality with the race. Maybe not just with Leclerc, but in general.
We're going to keep on this topic because I think this is going to be a great topic here. But before we even keep on, by the way, did Latifi finish again? Or is it my imagination?
He did.
Wow. That's 2 races in a row, right, Nick?
Yeah.
2 races in a row, baby. Manny, I want to
finally doing my name good.
Manny, I want to start off this topic, which kind of segues with.
Hold on, may I answer to Vish's comments on George Russell?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. So Vish, I totally love you, bro, and you're probably the one guy here that has more F1 love than any one of us.
No offense, but I'm going to offend you.
But for you to sit there and say that George Russell to you is not that type of driver where you see that he can be actually great, I think you got to slow down a little bit and realize that the car has been absolute crap. Not to mention that, yes, he's had luck, but at some point after this many races, you can't call it luck anymore, man. And that was the one issue that I had with so many Mercedes fans going into this weekend, is that the Lewis Hamilton lovers came out of nowhere and start saying, well, this team wants to, tarnish Lewis Hamilton's career because look what George Russell's doing. He's been lucky the whole time. It's like at some point, it's not luck anymore, okay? When you're up there and you're finishing top 5 in a car that sucks going straight, corners are horrible, the freaking porpoising is everywhere. Like, in reality, yes, should Mercedes be much more improved by now and much more, up there with Ferrari and Red Bull? Without question. There's no doubt about that. But to kind of sit there and say that George Russell to you hasn't yet, that you don't think he's going to be anything, I think it's hard to criticize him right now because he's the one and only one out of the 2 right now that's keeping it actually up there. And I know that Lewis Hamilton's had bad luck with not, the flags coming out and leaving the pits and whatever the case is, man. But you got to give George Russell a little bit more credit because at some point, this whole luck thing, everybody has luck, right? I mean, it just happens to be that damn Gasly's luck. There's Hamilton right behind him. Well, I'm not gonna move. It's like it's like after a couple of races, the luck just it shouldn't be, the whole point of saying, well, he got lucky. I just find that to be totally wrong, in all honesty.
So, I'd like to respond to that.
The floor is yours, my friend.
All right, so.
Okay.
So we need to put some context around this. Mercedes is bad for a Mercedes. It is the 3rd best car on the grid, and we're congratulating him for finishing behind a McLaren.
Right now, McLaren is, I think,
the McLaren is not a better car than the Mercedes. The Mercedes started behind the McLarens because Mercedes mismanaged the qualifying. That's why, like, if they had just come out and raced properly and not thrown it away in Q2, they would have been up there. He could not make a dent in Norris. What, are we serious here? Like, you switch the cars. You think Norris would have gotten caught by Russell? No way. And yes, there's been luck there. There's also been team ordering Hamilton not to pass him. That's not luck. So it's fine for us to say he's doing okay. And look, you're not going to get luck every race, like you said. It'll balance out and all that. But my point is, he's not doing that good. Hamilton's doing terrible too. But you're talking about
the car is not even there.
The car is the 3rd best car on the grid. If you're finishing behind a McLaren and a Mercedes and getting congratulated for it, that's problematic. I'm not saying Hamilton's doing good or anything, but this whole thing about Russell being like this next great driver, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
So everything that he did at Williams to you in the last couple of seasons was just shit.
He finished behind Latifi one of those years. What are we talking about? He got credit
Williams
for qualifying.
Had a point, and God knows how long until he got there.
That is not an accurate statement at all. In fact,
that they accounted on a 19-year-old to try to push them out of their damn misery.
None of what you're saying is accurate. You understand, like I have like a memory where I remember all this shit. Robert Kubica came back in one hand and outscored him. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That what you said of the history of Williams is completely inaccurate, dude. They didn't bring him in there to save the team. They had a BMW partnership, and then that went away, and they ended up broke, and they sold the team. But Russell's point totals at Williams were terrible in relation to his teammates. Last year, he finally got lucky when that race that they didn't run and they gave half points for him. Okay, the reason he finished ahead of Latifi on points last year is because they gave half points. I'm talking about his teammate. Forget the rest of the grid. He finished ahead of Latifi because they gave half points for Williams. For the race in Belgium, where no one ran and they ran in the wet for 2 laps and gave half points, and he ended up on the top of qualifying because Norris wrecked it and they red flagged the qualifying. Like, that was, in the year before that, he actually finished behind. Like, what are we talking about? I sort of agree with Jack that it's too early to tell, but everyone rushing to say how great he is, when is that going to actually happen?
Well, I don't
Getting
know
a Williams into Q2 and then finishing last.
I don't know where you've heard that people are saying that he's great, because the notion of the conversation is
there's a lot of people saying that.
I don't know what rock you're living under. I know you follow the Mercedes fanboy stuff.
No. I am in 5 Mercedes group chats of millions of people. That is not the conversation. The conversation is that this team is tarnishing Lewis Hamilton by pushing George Russell for him to be the main agenda. That's the topic of freaking conversation.
Yeah, I mean that's the Hamilton nuts. That's not what I'm even talking about. Like, Hamilton is responsible for his own screw. Like the Mercedes has mismanaged a bunch of stuff, but no, I'm not. We finished 3rd. I don't know what you're talking about. There we go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
No, but Hamilton, like, some of that's luck, some of that's Hamilton bad, right? And so I don't. If you're Mercedes, like the race where Hamilton would have overtaken Russell, you tell him the whole station, collect the points. I get that. But that's like a Hamilton fanboy thing. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about I have not seen this great Russell performance and this great driving that, like, everyone else is commenting on. Like, I think if you look at the young drivers, Max is clearly the best one. And then it's Leclerc. Yeah, but I mean that's a little different. He's a world champion.
Again,
but I think Russell's at best the 4th best young driver.
The fourth.
Yeah.
So he's obviously McLaren's up there.
Right? No, I'm not talking about the car. I'm talking about just the driver skill. I think he's worse than Max, Leclerc, and Norris. Forget the older drivers like Hamilton. Like, that's why, like, the Russell Hamilton debate is stupid. Hamilton's old. He's not going to be there that long. So who cares? But when you start comparing it, like, should Mercedes not have a better number 1 driver down the road? Everyone's saying, no, they're set. They got Russell. That's the part I'm disagreeing with. I don't think they're set.
Again, I am going to disagree with you, but I understand the point that you're saying. But if George Russell ever wins a championship, I'm coming after you again. Absolutely.
That's exactly what I said. Come back in 2 or 3 years and let's see if I'm right.
By the way, getting at him for only, what was it? We're only through 4 rounds, correct? I think I'm with Jack. There's still plenty of stuff that needs to be figured out. Let the Miami race end. Let's see what they do in Barcelona. Let's see then what happens there. I'm just going to move forward with that conversation because I truly feel that as a Mercedes fan and all these chats and all again, the main topic of conversation is that Lewis is not getting the same help as George's car is, which I find it completely ridiculous because both have the same car. It's just like the main topic of conversation that's not going to stop until Lewis Hamilton finishes in front of George Russell.
I will say this. Whatever it is that you're hearing now in those Mercedes spaces or talks or groups that you're in is definitely not what you were hearing before the season started. Because before the season started, Russell was the heir apparent to Hamilton, and he was the best thing since sliced bread. So has the tune changed a little bit? Sure, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I fully expected that to change because first of all, that's how fans are, right? Fans
Mhm.
are. That's the way they react to things. Second of all, the way that Mercedes has raced so far this season, they've looked like crap, to be honest with you. And they look like crap, and Russell's finishing in the top 5 because of certain circumstances. Whatever's going on in front of him, whatever's going on underneath him, whatever the case is, he's still getting a shot. And here's the word again: he's still getting lucky. He's finishing in the top 5. But at the same time, that conversation wasn't the same before the season started. Before the season started, definitely the conversation was, well, here's Russell. He's going to take over for Hamilton, and he's going to be driver 1 without a doubt. Now it might be changing. The two might change a little bit now. I get it.
By the way, what doesn't really help either is seeing how McLaren just looked like crap in Bahrain, right? And then 2 rounds later, it's like, holy crap. Like,
well, they've had some luck also. They've had some luck also.
No. See, that's the thing. I don't find it to be luck, man. I don't. These types of improvements in such a, not in a quick fashion, but to all of a sudden be better than Mercedes, like that is tough to swallow, man.
That's my point, though. Yeah. It's not better than Mercedes.
It's hard, man. It's just
they're not better though. They're not faster than
guys for a lot of fans, not for me.
But Manny, they're not better.
But that's my point. If you ran that race over again without all the Mercedes screw ups, they would finish ahead of the McLaren. They mismanaged that race. They're not used to fighting midfield. You can actually see that in the race. They should have pulled Hamilton in and gotten up those inners before everyone else. He would have jumped the line. They're still in there. They have to get out of that mindset. They used to all
waited until everybody went in.
Well, because this is part of the adjustment. This is part of the adjustment trouble they're having. That's why they kept the cars in the garage, thinking they'll be able to get out of Q2 like that. They have not mentally adjusted the fact that they're slower, and they're not just so much. They used to always be able to play their strategy conservatively because I'll take the extra lap going slower. It doesn't matter. We're faster than everyone else. They should have been aggressive with Hamilton's strategy. Instead, they waited till other cars pitted to make sure it was faster and then did it. Like, until they make that mental adjustment, they're going to piss away points. And they did it again here.
And I think...
they mismanaged that entire weekend. But it's not...
And I think, Vish, to add to that, I think you're absolutely right, because we heard Toto talk to him in the radio. We gave you basically a piece of crap car. So without question, they mishandled it. But it was something that they knew that they all knew, right? It was going to be one practice round, one qualifying, a sprint, and a race. So it's just things that you have to be prepared for. And it just seemed like after practice 2, when I woke up at 7 and Russell had the fastest time, right? It's like, oh my God, they figured out something finally. And then the sprint happens, and it's nowhere near any type of positivity. So that's all good.
Well, Evan in the chat's making a good point as well. There's the way that they allocate the amount of time you can spend and resources you can put in the car and kind of test time is the opposite of where you finished last year. So like the worst car gets more time to develop their car. So Mercedes actually had less time.
What happened, guys?
Bro, the comments are just too much, bro.
Yeah, some of those are not to be read out.
By the way, there was no question though that the Ferrari and the Red Bull were the fastest ones, regardless of how many practices are qualifying.
And the segue, perfect segue. This was the segue.
Would a Ferrari caught up to Red Bull? I don't think so. I think Red Bull the day before at the sprint showed that they could, basically handle the speed of it. And
so here's my question. Thanks for the segue, Manny. Perfect. So here's my question, because I think this is
Russell be champion.
It's important. It's important, not a chance. It's important because, like, as a Ferrari fan, I get a little nervous, right? Rightfully so. When you see the Red Bull, when there's no reliability issue, the Red Bull has been fast. And and Vish, I mentioned this to Vish, and he said, in which he probably makes sense in Bahrain. Right, it was Bahrain. It was the first race, right? Yeah, Bahrain was the first race. Ferrari was still faster, had more pace than Red Bull, and we saw the interaction and the kind of the battling back and forth in DRS zones back to back, and we saw Leclerc play it right. That was a great race that he drove that day. However, Red Bull was still really fast, right? So it was really close there. Then you got a reliability issue in the second race, and Leclerc just looks miles ahead, better than everybody else. Same thing in Australia. Leclerc again had 15 seconds. I think that he was just smoking everybody. Okay, now you're talking about coming back, and when Red Bull doesn't have reliability issues, and they finish the race, you see how much faster. Well, not how much faster, but they were faster than Ferrari this time around. So is this something where, and Helmut Marko actually mentioned this, which by the way, he's getting on my nerves. I want to punch him in the face. That guy's so obnoxious. But
I think him and freaking Nico need a night out together, man.
God, man.
Let's not even get into Nico. Jesus Christ.
Nico, I put them in the ring together. Anyways,
put Hamilton in the ring with him.
Yeah, Jesus. So Marco's talking about how now Red Bull has figured things out, and there's no way that Ferrari can keep up with them throughout the whole entire season. I don't know how I don't think that's true. I still think Ferrari has a lot left in that car. The thing is, though, it is a little bit concerning when you see when Red Bull finishes how much more competitive, and sometimes, in fact, how they're faster than Red Bull and than Ferrari, and in certain opportunities, right? Whether it's a sprint, whether it's qualifying, whether it's the actual race itself, it's a little bit more of an even race now. Have they figured if they figured out the reliability? Is this going to go neck and neck the whole way through?
I think it'll be close. They're the two fastest cars, but I don't necessarily buy that Red Bull was that much faster. Max was that much faster because Max is awesome, and he had that car in a groove. And when you get in those weird conditions where it's drying, there's changeable conditions.
Where's all this Max love coming in consecutive weeks?
Look! I can acknowledge he's an ass and still.
Yeah, he's
still respect his driving ability. And when you get in those changeable conditions where they're driving on inners, it's not really the right tire, but there isn't really a right tire. It's drying conditions. You got to find the wet line to keep the tires alive. He did that perfectly. Yeah. That's where a lot of that. It wasn't just the car. And you saw Checo go off. You saw Leclerc go off. Max, no problems. And I think what you're going to see is, depending on the track, you're going to see one car do a little bit better than the other. But I fully expect Leclerc and Max to kind of be trading blows at the top. I don't think it's a situation where like the Red Bull as a package is that much better. I think Max was that much better this weekend. But Leclerc has that ability to compete with him. So it's not. I don't think it's going to be a constant. But in those changing conditions in that car, he was untouchable.
Well, I think the grid, the circuits are going to play a lot into it as well. And we saw it, right? We saw it this past week, and weather played a lot into it. And I think that Max might be he's so good, right? So he's that much better of a driver when the conditions aren't as favorable or when the conditions aren't great. Then you can kind of turn to Max and say, okay, he's the best for a reason, right? He knows how to take advantage of these type of situations and come out on top. Whereas I'm not saying Leclerc can't, and Leclerc he may beat him in conditions like this, but like that specific moment, I think that at that moment, I think Max had, he just had something different that kind of allowed him.
But I also think you're looking at Frank, we talked about how Mercedes is not adjusted to the fact that they're slower. Ferrari needs to adjust to the fact that they're faster. There was no reason to try and jump Checo into second. They were comfortably going in third. We actually talked about this before they pitted. And they knew that. They're like, Plan D is not an option. Just stay on the track and finish third.
Yeah.
And instead, they put him on an aggressive strategy, and he was trying to make up the gap, and he threw the race away. And just take the points. They were up huge in the championship. You're going to lose 10 or 11 points to Max. That's fine. It's not going your way that day. And if Checo makes a mistake, you'll finish second. Otherwise, finish third. And just collecting points matters, and they kind of missed an opportunity to do that. I wonder if we're having the same conversation if Leclerc finishes third right on Checo's bumper, which is where it was headed before they tried to pit. We're probably like, the cars are still pretty even, but it was Max's day. And instead it's turned into, what's wrong with Ferrari because of the finishes when Sainz basically didn't get out of the first corner after Ricciardo dealt with him. And then Leclerc, they screwed up the strategy. Sort of. I mean, also he shouldn't have thrown it off the track, right? But why are you taking that risk? Anything can go wrong. What if you can't get... Remember last year in Monaco, like they couldn't get Bottas's tire off. He had to retire. Like, you don't know what's going to... Anytime you put a car into a pit stop, stuff happens. Evan makes a good point. Some of it is on Leclerc as well.
Absolutely.
But as the team, why are you putting him in that position? Just say, look, stay in third. We're not bringing you in. And instead they went ahead and tried to bring him in. He tried to, on the softs, go in there and run him down. He threw it away, and he's done that before, and it was not. To me, it didn't make sense to do that. Their position in the championship, and realistically, it would have made sense if they thought that he could get all the way up to first. He was not touching Max.
Right.
So realistically, they were looking at getting 3 points out of that, and it just didn't make sense to do it.
So, Jazz, real quick, just answer your question, and then I'll go down to Nick. I think it's going to come down to, can Ferrari just be patient, man, and not just try to go for every single quick lap that they could to get the extra point. I really feel, though, especially us three right up here, we were talking about this in the chat, and I think, Jazz, you pointed it out, is that should Leclerc go in there to get on softs to try to go for the fastest lap and get up on Checo. And I think me and Vish said, why force it? Every single 5 laps, you heard a radio call. Oh, it could be rain. It could be rain. It could be bad weather. So you were already in a position of finishing either third or even second. So why even take that chance? And I truly feel that Red Bull has finally figured out how to get this car working for Max. Because we know that Max is a heck of a driver. He's a former champion for a freaking reason. So I finally think that they finally figured it out, what buttons to push for that car for him. And that's going to push Ferrari into start thinking. I think Vish is right. They know that they're faster. But what's the strategy now going to be going into each round going forward? Because I don't think it's about, let's wait for Mercedes to come up, because that obviously, who even knows when that ship's even going to sail. So it's about, can they realize that they had such an advantage here in this last weekend at home, and they basically wet the bed because they wanted to get into those extra little amount of points. You know, I mean, it's just, can Ferrari just going forward just come up with a strategy that's reasonable and that's not going to get their drivers into doing mistakes? And I'm going to go back to Sainz. Sainz has had such an amazing time in practices and in qualifiers. It is a shame that this man has crashed the last 2 races, in which we know if he's up there with Checo, with Leclerc and Max, bro, the finishes that we'd be seeing would be unbelievable, because Ferrari has the speed. Red Bull just figured it out. So
I think it's going to be interesting coming down the road. If Sainz doesn't have a good showing in Miami, I think he's just going to be playing, this guy's, wingman, basically. I think
that ship sailed.
I think at this point it's already that. But I think if he starts to become a little more competitive, I think it's going to be better for him, because he'll be able to defend the Red Bulls, right? That's at the end of the day. That's what you want,
and right? I did tweet this out when Sainz had his issue last race. I said, I think it's time for Ferrari to focus on Leclerc and push him forward. I hate to say it. I wanted Sainz to be up there, but it's quite clear that Leclerc right now just has it going. They need to focus on that.
Nick, real quick, and we'll go to Moni, and then we'll kind of finish off with a little Miami here. Your take on the whole Red Bull Ferrari.
Well, I mean, like they've said, when Red Bull pretty much doesn't have their reliability issues, they have, a car that can compete with Ferrari as far as top speed and pace goes. But as long as Red Bull keeps or maintains, good reliability, then they will be up at the top, or at least fighting for the top. Ferrari, I think, like they said, needs to realize that, they do have a really fast car. Like, their engine is top notch this year. But they also need to realize that, sometimes getting, the extra point or two, doesn't matter, especially like in the race like this. They already had a podium spot. Leclerc already had the sizable lead in the Drivers' Championship, and they were still well ahead in the constructors. So why are you trying to risk it for 1 point? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And the fact that, Leclerc blew it was kind of just, the poetic justice of it all. And so after, Leclerc, spun out, and, he ended up making up for it and finishing 7th. But, still.
Six.
Sorry, 6. He did pass, I forget who he passed on, like one of the last couple of laps. I think he passed Yuki.
Sonoda,
last couple of laps. So, I think with Leclerc, he just needs to stop, worrying so much about points and just go out there and drive. Just do his thing. Because when he just goes out there and drives, like we've all seen it, the dude's got mad skill. He's one of the top drivers in Formula One. Yeah. But when he's worried or when he's pressing about something, like he feels like he feels like he can't make a mistake. But when you feel like you can't make a mistake, you end up making a mistake.
Right.
Enough with these plan A's, B, C, and D's, man. Like that just drives me nuts. Okay, so we're going to plan D. What the hell was plan D in lap 45 of 70?
That's what you need to have that.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
That's important. You need to have that.
Well, for like them, in a sense, in a race where we all agreed, Vish, that they shouldn't be doing anything. Just stay what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's what they said. But so when you come into the race, you have to have all these plans for contingencies. And over the radio, you're not going to say, push real hard for these 3 laps because then we're going to go for the undercut. Well, you gotta say plan B, right? I mean, it's like, I don't understand.
They second guess it to plan D, and then he says on the radio, "Oh, I think we should have gone on mediums." Well, it's too late now.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Right, and that was the mismanagement, right? Because he asked, and they said, "No, don't do plan D, just stay the course," and then they switched on it. So they second it. That's why I don't think this is. I totally agree with everyone saying Leclerc has been impetuous in the past.
Leave that up.
But that's on Ferrari. Once you make a decision, just own it.
Yeah. Before we get to Moni for these final thoughts here, this race will be a wild card when they go back to Barcelona. After there will be a lot of upgrades to the cars, and then we will see when the chips land, where the chips land. Anyways, point is, he makes a great point because I think this race is a wild card. Nobody's done anything on this track yet, right? Obviously, the first time they're going to get on it is in FP1 in a week and a half. So it's going to be interesting to see how each car reacts to this brand new surface, right? This brand new track. It's going to be interesting how tire degradation is going to be in this track. But before we even get to that, because we definitely want to talk about that really quick before we get before we finish the show, Moni, your last thoughts on Red Bull versus Ferrari.
Well, at the end of the day, Checo was able to create a gap between him and Leclerc, and he was able to maintain it. So, since the beginning of the season, I thought that it was going to be a very interesting season for both Red Bull and Ferrari. And I think this race proves it, to be honest with you. And I think at this point, how last week, not the week before that, we were having a conversation about, what Red Bull was going to do, trying to figure it out with Max. I think that now one of the biggest challenges for Ferrari is to figure it out with Sainz. I think it's really concerning. And there was a comment over here. I forgot who it was. They said they were talking about Sainz, and they said something like, "Oh, he just signed the extension. It's all in his head." Gracias. After signing that extension, it's in his head, and I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree. I struggle to think that he suffered the same exact way 2 races back to back. So I think it's definitely concerning, and it's most definitely a huge challenge for Ferrari. But I think that the battle between Ferrari and Red Bull is quite literally just starting, and it's going to take us throughout the whole season, and it's going to keep us on the edge of our seat. So, and that's another reason why I'm super hyped for Miami before we go into Miami, because as you said, Jazz, brand new track, no one has raced on it. So I just feel like there's so much anticipation coming from the drivers and the teams that it's definitely going to be a really, really interesting moment to see how Red Bull and Ferrari both react after Imola.
Yep. Well, I think one of you posted it here regarding what the track is. It features a local lime rock and Georgia State granite mix. that asphalt specialists believe will provide an innovative surface that will satisfy the expectations of the FIA and Formula One. Yeah, it's just it's different. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what Pirelli chooses as far as what the compounds are going to be as well. Hopefully, the weather is nice because again, if there's unpredictable weather in this world, it's here in Miami. So God knows what the hell's going to happen. So hopefully the weather is nice.
Unpredictable weather and in a fake harbor, which everybody seems to not love already. So
yeah, so that's another thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the last pictures we saw, they didn't even have water yet. So they had boats there, but no water. But
they are comparing us, Jazz, to the fire festival.
Yeah, it was. God,
oh my God, that's so depressing.
Oh God!
Those people that are comparing us don't know what the hell they're talking about.
So
fish.
we've been told not to cuss, so I won't give my full feelings on that on people that are talking crap about our city like that. But you know what?
Full of crap. They're full of crap.
Yeah,
it's ignorance, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Whatever.
It is what it is. No big deal.
It does look like there's a lot of long high speed straights there, so I think there'll be a lot of overtaking.
Is that set in stone already? They are going to use
C1 it was. Let me double check.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get the update yet. That's why I wasn't
I think
sure.
there'll at least be like 3 DRS zones going into it.
There is 3 DRS zones. There's 3 DRS zones, which is going to be nice. Really quick before we get into Miami, there was somebody posted here. I don't know how credible this is, but it looks like Audi is going to make a bid for Aston Martin. That Lawrence Stroll is reportedly keen to sell Aston Martin to Audi. With Aston Martin being Audi's first choice for purchase. So I did hear something about that, Lawrence Stroll wanting to sell Aston Martin, which, by the way, would be nice because then we'll never have to see Stroll anymore. We'll probably see him on another team anyway. So
I have the report here. The latest is from April 6th.
April 6th, okay.
As reported, the Porsche and Audi are on the verge of entering Formula 1. The latest initial suggests Audi has contacted, I don't know how to say that, Mum Takalkat? I don't know, what is that?
I don't know that that's the latest. I think what Jazz said was a little bit after that, where
they just posted this like 10 minutes ago.
But yeah, what Manny brought up is kind of a weird one, where obviously Volkswagen Group owns Porsche, Volkswagen, and Audi, but they were talking about coming in almost as separate entities, with Porsche partnering with Red Bull on engines, and then Audi buying another team and just owning it outright and not actually collaborating. So, which would be kind of interesting, competing against themselves.
Miami. All right, nobody cares about Aston Martin anymore. Pretty excited about Miami. We'll definitely have something going on this weekend also. I'm going to try to get out to...
I like it, Jack. I love it.
Ain't that the truth?
This is probably Guttle's last dance, too.
We'll probably have some content for you guys this weekend on Miami as well. And we've got a really great show lined up next week. We've got already some special guests that have already committed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
By the way, Jazz, let the people know that we will have somebody from this panel covering the race for us every single day. That's happening. Yeah. So
we'll have two people. One might be a little inebriated, but the other one will not be. For sure, 100%. I can't guarantee that I won't be, but I will be there. Hopefully, I will be there, but inebriation is a possibility. And who knows? Maybe I might peer pressure Vish. No, I'm just kidding. He's got credentials.
I have to be professional, man.
He's gonna be very professional.
Vish is gonna wear a shirt, and inside the shirt is gonna be a papaya shirt. Yeah, we know it already.
Vish is gonna walk in with those, Vish
gonna walk in like anybody want papaya?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, will I get in trouble for wearing my own gear? You're not supposed to wear fan gear, but a picture of myself holding a papaya is pretty obvious what we're talking about. But
your face holding the papayas, that would be we need to get it. Anyways, we're gonna get a shirt. We're gonna get a shirt done.
Yes.
I can't wear my face on a shirt. That's a little bit. Actually,
well, I can. I'm gonna wear your face. So is Moni and Nick and Manny. We're all gonna wear it.
I'll wear it.
Can that please be
it's gonna happen. I'm going to the t-shirt store tomorrow, so don't worry.
That has to be our merch. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah, we. Oh my god, yeah, we gotta sell it. Yeah, for sure we're gonna sell that shirt.
Oh my god!
And everybody on here, Jack, Gus, Fernie, Evan, Henry, you're all gonna get that shirt. Guaranteed you're gonna. Who doesn't want this shirt? Manny, put it up again. Who doesn't want this shirt, bro? How can you not want this shirt?
Let's go!
You're damn right. You're damn right.
I don't know if I want his sofa, but I definitely want it.
Well, I mean, there needs to be some editing. You got to get the McLaren logo out of my hat too. So there's gonna have to be some editing.
It's blurred enough, nobody can see it. It's only us wearing it. Oh no, wait, it might be other people. You're right. You're right.
If we're trying to monetize this, get the couch out, get the McLaren logo out.
You're right. You're right. It's true. It's a 101 papaya shirt. That's right, man. And 101. Nobody else is gonna have these. That's gonna be awesome. Anyways, I think it's gonna be exciting. We got a great show next Wednesday. So please make sure everybody tune into that.
Cheer up, Manny. They'll be all right.
I know it's not that big of a deal. Jesus, man.
I'm not used to this.
Oh, get out of here.
Get low, man.
Who cares? Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I think it was absolutely awesome. Make sure all you guys follow us on Twitter at F1_5 reasons. Russell Fisher. Russell number one. Russell number one. Like that.
Okay. If he ever wins the world championship, I will buy a shirt with his face on it and wear it on here. Yeah,
that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
Wait, what do you mean that's not good enough? What do you want me to do? All right. Tell me what to do.
We got to do some tattoo bets here. We got to do some tattoo.
Oh, there's no way I'm tattooing the dude.
George Russell will finish the season with more points than Lando Norris. I'm laying down the line.
That's not a bet. It's a better car. What are we talking about?
Okay, Lando and Ricardo put together then. How about that one?
Lando and Ricardo.
It's still a better car. I don't know what you're talking about. Man. Like, that's not the standard.
Listen.
You literally just said, I'm laying down the line is going to finish better than a guy in a worse car. What are we talking about?
So if George Russell
his rookie card costs $90, man, so I have to be patient.
If George Russell finishes in the top 3, Manny, you got a tattoo of number 63 on you.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Easy money. Easy money.
In the top 3?
In the top 3. In the
Hell yeah, bro. GR3. Let's go.
It's not going to finish in the top 3.
Therefore, he needs to tattoo 63 on.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Evan. I appreciate you, bro.
All right. Tell me what non-tattoo related thing I have to do if Russell wins the...
Can you do like a henna tattoo?
It doesn't. I mean, have you noticed my skin? It doesn't really show anyway. It'll just look like shit. Yes, I can do a henna.
Whatever. No, then we got. Yeah, we got to do a
t-shirt. Maybe I'll get like a George Russell mask and wear it on my head for an entire show.
By the way, Jack, do not meet me at the Turnpike section. That part's
Jack, bro.
For us.
Jack, if you're going to the race, please meet up with us. Please find me on Twitter at Jazz Santana and bro, hit me up. Bro. Let's link up. For real, dude. For real. Anyways,
Alex, thanks. If you're listening, we don't have a spot on the Turnpike, bro.
Oh, where's Sexy Time Alex, bro?
Don't come meet me, Alex.
Where's Sexy Time Alex?
You know, the only people that understand that joke are us hosts and that dude that showed up from where was he?
That's you.
From Nigeria, I think it was.
Kenya. Those are the only people in our Twitter space. It was us 5, Alex, and that dude from Kenya.
Sexy Time Alex, baby. Anyways, all right, this is enough. I'm done.
All right, I'm good with that. If Russell wins the championship, like the world championship, at any point while we're doing the show, I will get a Russell crying face mask, with cutouts in it, and I'll wear it the entire show.
We're gonna get you jeans with Russell's face on it or something. You gotta wear jeans too.
But how are you gonna see that though? It's gotta be visible.
We'll take pictures. We're already getting a shirt with your face on it, for the love of God.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. All right.
Anyway, I'm not even worried. You can make up whatever. He's definitely winning shit.
Not gonna happen. Thank you guys again. We appreciate it. Make sure you check us out every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube. Make sure you check us out on Twitter again at F1_5 Reasons, or you can just check out Hitting the Apex. Just search Hitting the Apex. You'll be able to find us there as well. Again, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys. Oh, wait, Moni has something. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Adios.